I mean, we don't know how this is going to play out. So I really want to watch the top lane and see how that winds up running because, like I said, I haven't seen Jayce play very much, and I'm curious to see what Yuzuki does with them. So here we go. Let's get started.
All right, Jayce is definitely going to be, like you said, a wild card in this matchup. Lanes all over the place, looking to be an aggressive favor once again. So hopefully we'll have an amazing game like we did in games 1 and 2. Both these teams seem to not necessarily force the aggression early on, but it just so happens to come to them once the ganks really start going down. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. mTwNA is your blue team. Orbit Gaming is your red/purple team over here. Depends if you have colorblind or not. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we have over here, both these teams are going to be, once again, the game number 3 of the best-of-3 series in the IPL Faceoff tournament. The loser is not going to be out for good. They will be falling down into the loser's bracket. I believe they're going to have to play Team Legion, who actually took out TSM Evo in another match we were running off stream. So congratulations to Team Legion for knocking Evo out of the actual tournament. But a winner of this one will go into the winner semifinals. The loser going knocked out into that loser's bracket to try to fight themselves back up for a qualification to that tournament for over $40,000 worth of prizes. Ooh, mTwNA going in right here. Oh, Graves, gotta get out of there. Don't get Dredgeline, don't get Dredgeline. Actually, Nautilis doesn't even have a level of a skill yet, so he can't get Dredgeline. So you're gonna be A-okay, just warding up and making sure, you know, fainting some aggression. Sometimes the threat of it is just enough, Sullla.
I was wondering if X50 was just going to go for try for a flash Dredgeline. Neon would probably have flashed out of that as Graves. He probably would have counter-flashed on his own, but I'm a little surprised he didn't, you know, at least make a play for that. So nice Morgana binding as well. As far as the level 1 goes, both teams are pretty good. Orbs is not bad. They do have Morgana, who's always useful in a level 1 fight, and I feel like Jayce would not be that bad either. And Amumu could always bandage trust, but he doesn't really want to start with bandage trust. However, mTw's is simply better. They have Alistar and Nautilis, who are both very good in a level 1 engage. So that's why I think we see Orb being so defensive. Also why we saw mTw play so aggressively. We saw them immediately go and ward the blue. And I'm a little bit surprised that they're not just going and you know, trying to just steal that blue buff from Amumu, because Amumu just gets crippled if he loses that blue buff early on. They did ward it, and we'll see if mTw tries to make a play at this blue. Doesn't look like they're going to, but they might actually know they are coming in here, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, they are going to contest this blue from Amumu. It looks like Orb knows exactly what's up, though. They're going to wait for them to go in here and try to take this away. Unfortunately, mTwNA ward does not catch effect. There are 4 members of Orb on the other side over here. Blue buff getting really, really low. They're actually going to steal it. They're taking way too long to go around here. So blue buff does get stolen. Nautilis takes his own blue buff, and now there are 2 blue buffs on the map for mTwNA, and none for poor sad Amumu.
And Tom, you said before the match you were wondering why they don't play Amumu in competitive play. That's why. It's because he is really weak right at the start of the game, and if you go in there and steal his blue, he's just going to jungle so slowly. He's still level 1. I mean, he is going to be able to get red with his smite, but I mean, this is just going to slow him down so enormously when he doesn't have that blue buff to give him back the mana. He runs out of mana so quickly when he's using his tiers without that blue buff, so he really needs that. And again, it looked like Orb was in position to defend that. They had 4. It's like they knew the invasion was coming, but then they didn't stop the invasion. They just kind of stood there and didn't do anything. So advantage mTw here in the early going.
Yeah, a little bit of perplexing play. You see, I thought the plan of mTw was to distract Amumu long enough for Nautilis to go in and steal half of his jungle over by the red side, but they just wound up walking in and stealing the blue buff and like no one was there. I mean, in mTwNA's eyes, until they took the blue buff and they walked onto the ward, for all that knew, Amumu was starting at red buff for some reason. They just, like you said, Orbit Gaming just stood there and they lost out on a very, very key component to their jungle. Now Amumu level 2 going very, very slowly. Nautilis already level 3, potentially getting his own red buff. He's going to start ganking that much earlier than Amumu, and it's going to be that much more deadly for Orb to be pushing out in their lanes.
The other thing, Amumu did start with the regrowth pendant, so he's going to have a very fast Philosopher's Stone, but he doesn't have boots, so that means that pretty much tells you, I'm just going to be farming, I'm not going to be ganking, because if you have no boots, you can't gank lanes as a jungler, or it's very difficult to do that. When you have no, let's just check out what is his movement speed. His movement speed is 326. I mean, that's pretty slow. People are going to be able to run away from you very easily if they have boots and you have none. So he does have the Philo Stone, and again, we're just not going to see any early pressure from Amumu, or at least I'd be very surprised if we see it. He's just going to go to the jungle and farm, and you know, he doesn't have boots, he can't gank lanes, so that's a big advantage for mTw.
Yeah, meanwhile, we see Nautilis just walking straight into the enemy's jungle, taking the race as his own. He's got to take the big one, leave a couple small ones behind, and that's even just going to send Amumu back further. As you mentioned, he does get the early Philosopher's Stone, is going to be generating a little bit of gold and have a little bit of extra mana regeneration to his name, but still, he's going to be going on the very, very farm-safe path, whereas Nautilus, usually regarded as a slow champion in his own, with his boots, 368 move speed on him, he's going to be able to gank basically at free will, because Amumu is not going to really either be in the same area or be able to catch up and counter gank, like you said, Sullla. So advantage mTw.
Yeah, the poor Amumu. I mean, he's the sad mummy. Well, he's extra sad this game. He's really been set far behind. He didn't get his blue. He just had his wraith stolen yet again, and Nautilus just able to invade with impunity. So again, Amumu offers a lot to the team. I mean, he's got that percentage-based damage on his tiers. He's got that great ultimate for team fighting. But I mean, if you go into the jungle and mess with him, like this is the result. I mean, he just jungles really slowly. And he doesn't put any pressure on lanes early on, which is a huge deal. We've seen so many games that are won or lost based on who is able to get that first blood, who's able to put their laners ahead, and he just doesn't really offer that. So again, there are some advantages to Amumu, but I mean, we've kind of seen the downside to Amumu in this game. Now, maybe he'll be able to get back in it, but I mean, he's still only level 3 at the 5.5 minute mark. That is very, very slow. And again, he's just been set behind. Fortunately for him, nothing's been happening in the lanes. I mean, by this point in time, Nautilus could have, ganked the lane and gotten first blood. So fortunately for Orbit, that hasn't happened yet. But, I mean, they just have no jungle pressure on lanes. That means all the lanes can just farm and, they don't have to play scared. And it's just so much harder to play when you've got that pressure on you in lane, which mTw or Orb just does not have right now. So that's really been the biggest thing in this match so far.
Yeah, and mTw just seems to be very content with sitting back and farm. They have a small creep advantage in every single lane. One of the big ones being in the top lane. Jayce pushing all the way down on Kennen, but Kennen's still being ahead in CS right now. Nautilus, in the meantime, going to be roaming through the jungle, placing wards down, getting some vision advantage to kind of continue his advantage in the jungle over Amumu. Already still, like you mentioned, a level up on the side mummy. That means he's going to be in a prime position to gank and just have his way with the lanes. Here comes the first gank of the game, coming down onto Yuzuki up there. Going to speed himself up with that gate. Kennen's coming in already level 6 with an ultimate, though, has to burn a flash. Ultimate traded for flash, not necessarily the worst trade in the world right there. And look at this big old wave that Kennen has for pressure. He's pushed out from under his tower, hasn't used a single health potion yet, has a decent stock of money in the bank.
Morgana's ganking bot right now. Let's see if she's able to pull this off.
No, she's going to come in all the way from behind. Pooh Bear going to land the Dark Binding. Actually lands down on Balls. That's devastating. Ultimate goes off as well. Balls has to flash and Arcane Shit to get out of that one. So a skill, a summoner, and everything burned for that one. Lots of damage. And now Gray's going to have a little bit of time to catch back up and farm in that bot lane.
Yeah, that's definitely going to help out bot lane. I mean, it's basically even. It's unfortunate for Orb that they didn't get that kill. That was really nicely played. But the advantage of Ezreal right there, the flash and the Arcane Shift gets him out of trouble. So really nice binding by Pooh Bear, but just barely able to escape. Up in top lane, we saw the advantage of Kennen putting on that deny. He hit level 6 first. They were right there to try to get the kill. It was very nicely played by Yuzuki to dodge that. If he had died there, he would have missed out on about 15 minions, and he would have missed a full level of experience, and he would have been super duper behind. So the fact that he didn't die there was really crucial. It keeps that top lane even, or basically even. I mean, Kennen is a little bit ahead, but it keeps the lane relatively even instead of Jayce being incredibly far behind. So that's a big play. And it looks like they haven't given up on this. Nautilus has hit 6, and Kennen's ult's going to be back up. They're likely going to use both of those ults together in top lane and see if they can get the kill and snowball this top lane ahead. So we got to keep an eye on that.
Lane gank coming through from Nautilus. Jayce has no idea that he's over here in this brush. We did see actually Morgana taking the blue buff from Amumu, so Amumu is still a little behind in this jungle. Not yet level 6. Is probably going to hit it after that red buff there. But once again, Yuzuki pushing out, doing what he does as Jayce. He's in that range form right now. If these minions push through and he decides to stick around, Nautilus, there's a depth charge. Kennen lunged in with the lightning rush. Ultimate, is it going to go off? Ooh, actually stunning him first. Then the ultimate goes off. Tagged with the staggering blow on top of all this. That is just too much crowd control for poor Jayce to do anything with. And Jayce going to explode on himself right there as Kennen picks up first blood.
The great thing about that gank is they didn't give up on it. The first gank pops the flash, and then the second gank gets the kill. And I love to see that. So often you'll see the jungler comes in, and they get the flash down, and then after that, they just leave, and they go somewhere else on the map. And it's very wasteful to do that. So Orb Gaming, or excuse me, mTw sticking with the kill, or sticking with that attempt. They did get the kill, and now Kennen's going to be very far ahead. And again, Amumu, again, we're just, unfortunately for Amumu, we're just really seeing the weakness of him in this game. He's had no pressure on lanes. He's finally hit 6, so now he'll be able to do something. He will finally be useful. But again, he was just put so far behind by that initial play, right at level 1, that he really has offered nothing to Orb in this game thus far. And as opposed to Nautilis, who has gotten first blood and has put Kennen really far ahead, and Amumu is probably going to go back to heal. He's actually taking a lot of damage.
I'll say bot lane, we have a lot of aggression. Alistar going in with a headbutt, pulverized Graves, actually going in with a smoke screen, but Ezreal's ultimate dealt a lot of damage. Soraka Banana is taking away at Ezreal's health. Our Dolls and Daydreaming going to catch up to Ornane. He's going to be very, very dangerously low here. Actually, they're going to decide to reverse in that one because Morgana is going to be coming in from the mid lane too. So, oh my gosh, Jayce.
Wow. Kennen's going to make it out with just 40 HP right there. Mumu came in, Amumu used the ultimate, and it was nearly a kill, but fully it's done, able to lightning rush out of there on just barely 40 HP, just barely surviving that one. So there's the counterplay. They need to help out that top lane, and almost were able to pick it up and turn it into a kill.
Yeah, still, so bottom lane just resetting itself into aggression. Top lane, like you said, Kennen being able to get out of there, much probably to affect that Hex Tech Revolver. 40 HP sounds like about the amount of health that Kennen would have been able to gain off of that, so his early advantage actually saves his butt in that kind of circumstance there. Meanwhile, Jayce, taking a look at his build, picked up a Phage already. That could still transition into some other sort of item. Probably going to be showing foreshadowing to that Trinity Force. I have seen Jayce's pick that item up quite frequently as well. Going to be very excited to see what that character can do in top lane. Apparently, when his jungler does come around to gank, he can put a lot of aggression down, so it's going to be interesting enough to see. But Sullla, did you see us in the bot lane?
Absolutely.
This looks like death in a bush.
They are hoping that someone from Orb will face check into that brush, but Amumu seems to know what's up. Amumu's hanging out in the area. Not sure how useful he'll be without his ultimate up, but he is in the area to help out. Looks like Nautilis is going to have to give up on this one. Orb was not biting on that one. They were not willing to phase check into that. They did have a ward back there, so I think that ward spotted Nautilis when he headed into that brush. So it looked like they knew what was up, and they're able to stay safe. So if you're wondering why supports often ward the side brushes there, it's to defend against lane ganks like that one, and it looks like that one worked out okay. Kept Orb Gaming safe.
Yeah, indeed. So denying of the gank down there, that means that Nautilus is going to have to go back. Actually, potentially coming in for another one here. That ward is still up, though, so they're going to know when Nautilus does actually poke his head. Headbutt Pulverize going down from Daydreaming on the Lemon Nation. Now, Soraka's going to burn the heal on herself. Graves is here, but Morgana's coming from the mid lane as well. Pops the ultimate, but a flash out of the way. No one's going to get tagged with that. Daydreaming pops the ultimate to save himself. Depth charge is used defensively to try to get out of there from McSmitty. So very nice turnaround there. No idea that W Pooh Bear was even floating around in the bot lane. And potentially a gank for mTw turned into a negative one there. Meanwhile, on the top lane, though, Kennen's taking a lot of damage from Jayce, having to pop his ultimate. Looked like to run away there as the Piltover guy getting a little bit of the best of the Yordle in top lane now.
Yeah, a little bit surprising, especially because we saw how Jayce was really far behind early on, forcing Kennen out of lane. Very surprising. Down there in bottom lane, really nice play by the people on mTw to get out of that Morgana ultimate. We saw the Ezreal blink that immediately got out of that. A great use of the Alistar ult by Daydreaming. He would have died there, but he uses the Alistar ult to break the crowd control, gets out of that, and everybody ends up surviving. We keep having these near kills everywhere on the map, and everyone keeps surviving. About the only thing I can say that really came out of that was Vlad has stayed mid, Mandatory Cloud. We've seen this playstyle from him in the other games in this series. He likes to stay mid. He doesn't like to gank that much. Navi Pumir tends to roam a little bit more. So he just stayed mid and he kept farming, and now he's 30 minion kills ahead. And he's just been farming away. And so that's part of where that gold lead comes from for mTw thus far. Again, ganking's great, but if you don't get the kill and the other AP just stays mid and farms, then they come out ahead in that case. And so far that's been the case because Morgana has not gotten a kill when she's gone out roaming.
Yeah, she's popped her ultimate twice. Unfortunately, have net no kills or assists for that one. So a little bit behind that mid lane. On top of this, Vladimir continuously pushing forward, stealing raids from the enemy jungle, taking his own jungler's raid. Potentially wanting to go over there and take wolves on top of this. Vladimir just wants all the CS in the game. But like you said, being very, very good, very, very far ahead. 94 CS on Morgana to 127 from Vladimir in that mid lane. Ooh, Jayce getting aggressive on top lane against Kennen here, going through his own gate to speed himself up, then leaping on top of the Yordle, dealing a decent chunk of damage here. Kennen with 2 stacks of that Mark of the Storm on him, though. Jayce backs off until those do go away. Then switching into his range form, just gonna sit back here and farm up a little bit. Kind of interesting mechanic, because it lets Jayce be aggressive, but then at the same time just fall back and passively farm. It's not doing the best of work, though, as Kennen is 98 CS to his 70 in this top lane.
Right, but that's largely because he got set back early on. The fact, I mean, he's pretty much been keeping it at about 25 minion kills for a little while now, which means he's doing a good job. If you're going even with farm after you got set behind, that means that you're doing a pretty good job. So anyway, Nautilus ult is up. Actually, everybody's ult appear to be up on each side. Nautilus ult is up, Amumu ult is up, so we'll see where the fight comes in. It looks like it's going to be bottom, potentially. We see the initiation right there.
We did have Alistar going in with a pulverize and potentially a headbutt there. And Nautilus now coming in from the other side. Looks like a tower dive. Soraka got really low there from Ezreal, just dealing damage.
No
And
flash.
Smitty's going to be able to tower dive, pick up a kill. Pooh Bear and High coming in from the mid and jungle. Alistar, you can't headbutt a spell shield there. That's a little silly. Morgana getting in between everybody. Looks like Gray's going to take a little bit of damage from Nautilus. And now Vladimir here. Amumu ultimate pops. Grays will take on Nautilus. That is just setting everyone up for an Evo plague there. Grays really low, will not die. Black Shield keeping him alive through the Vladimir ultimate. So a very nice save there from Morgana.
Wow, what a Black Shield. That was so well done by Pooh Bear. Just completely saving Graves. Had no health left with the Black Shield, giving him an extra about 100 to 200 health, preventing that magic damage. Really nice use of Morgana plus Amumu ult. That's how Orb wants to play this, but they still only went 1 for 1 there, even though they lined that up pretty well. There was a nice juke of a Morgana Dark Binding there by the Nautilus player X50. So a pretty decent fight, relatively even on both sides. Orb was able to prevent that from being any worse, but I feel like they have to be a little bit disappointed they didn't get 2 kills out of that, because they got exactly the setup they wanted. Morgana ult into a Amumu ult with people stunned right up against the wall, and they're only able to get the 1 kill out of that. Still, if they can recover and take Dragon here, they'd be very happy with that. So we'll see if they can do that. But for now, it's a 2,000 gold lead for mTw. Modest lead, but they do have the lead right now, and we'll see if they're able to keep it.
Yeah, very interestingly enough, Orb is positioning themselves over here for Dragon. mTw knows exactly what is up with this ward over here. Nautilus is kind of stalking around the outskirts. Does he have Smite up? He does indeed. We could potentially try to see a Smite Steal coming down. Going to keep the camera panned right over here. Nautilus coming in, does not get the Smite Steal. Ezreal does not get the ultimate steal. Are they going to give chase? It looks like Nautilus and Vlad chasing a little bit, but that is still technically a 2 versus 4. So mTw and I going to back off. And Sullla, Orb takes a Dragon and pulling themselves back into the goal. This one's just less than 1,000 gold separating these teams now.
That's what we said. What they needed to do in the aftermath of that fight was they needed to take that Dragon, just because, as he said, we'll pull them back to within 1,000 gold. Basically, tighten this match up, make it really close again, and that's what they're able to do. Nautilus ult was just barely on cooldown. I was keeping an eye on that. It just came off cooldown right when Orb got back to the safety of their tower, so was not able to initiate with that. I feel like if the Nautilus ult had been up, they would have gone for that fight and tried to fight there at the end, but weren't able to do so. And so we see a clean disengage instead for Orb, and they, like we said, they really pulled it right back to even in this match. So it's really anyone's game at this point. And the good news for Orb is that Amumu, who was so weak early on, has now gotten past that early stage. He's got his double gold for 10s. He finally has boots too, so it means his ganks are going to be more effective. He's got his ult back off of cooldown again. So Amumu is finally starting to come into his own after a very rocky early game. So Orb has to be pretty happy that they've survived the first 17 minutes of this game, with Amumu basically giving them nothing up to this point in time. He's had 1 ult thus far down in bottom lane. He's done nothing else. So they have to be happy that after being so weak that they've been able to sort of survive these early levels, and now they can get closer into that team fighting phase where their Morgana and Amumu ults are going to be very effective.
Now it's actually panning up to the top of bottom lane that we have actually Graves getting hit against the tower there from the Alistar, getting very low. Soraka with the heal, not going to be enough. Ezreal finishing off in style with an ultimate there, as Nine will actually pick a fight he can't win, and Balls coming out ahead with a kill there. Very interesting enough, I keep panning back to Jayce, trying to see what he's building. A lot of these top champions will build some sort of Doran's item or GP10 item or something to try to catapult them into a lead. Every single Jayce player I've seen will go straight Trinity Force like this.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
Well, it just seems to be the key item on him as far as we can tell. I've seen some people try out. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of Jayce, but I've seen people try out the double gold for 10. It doesn't seem to be as effective on Jayce, the Philosopher's Stone. And actually we have a fight going on. Let's
yeah, mid lane we have a Morgana ultimate going off against Vladimir. He is going to pull under. Amumu is here though that follows with his ultimate. Nautilus comes in from the jungle. Depth charge going off on Morgana. She's going to be about half health. Mandatory Cloud is very low. Ooh, Bandage Shosh will snipe a kill there. Very nice player from Orbit Gaming. I don't exactly know why Vladimir was that far into the tower. I think he just farmed against it, and then all of a sudden Amumu and a Morgana show up, and he's in a heck of a bad place there. It's a very nice pickup there from Orbit Gaming, now transitioning to get Morgana her blue buff once again. She's got to be a little bit happy now. She's got no kills to her name, but 2 assists. She's still down by about 40 CS, but she has a Zanya's Hourglass, and that on cooldown, that's probably what kind of messed Vladimir up in that dive.
Right, Pooh Bear, he did use the Zanyas in that last fight we saw. I believe that what Mandatory Cloud was going for, I believe that he was trying to prevent Morgana from going and getting her blue. I think that's why he was over there. I didn't see quite the start to that fight either, but we have an initiation in bottom. Let's keep an eye on that.
Headbutt and then a pulverized delay there, catching Grace and Soraka. Ultimate goes off. She's blurred the Astral Blessing on herself, but now Ball's getting extremely low. Grace is dealing a crap load of damage right there, and it looks like Alistar is going to zone him out, and nothing is going to come of that one. Grace coming back with a vengeance after being killed, wants to pick up a kill on the enemy range carry there, Sullla.
Well, what happened there was Lemon Nation, the Soraka support, got a really, really good exhaust on Balls, the Ezreal player, and as soon as that exhaust hit, all his damage was just cut to nothing for a couple seconds. And initially, Balls was focusing on Soraka, but then she just healed herself, got the big armor boost, and then they were in the unfortunate position of focusing on Soraka while Graves was DPSing, and so they just had to break off the fight because they weren't going to be able to kill Soraka.
Poor Amumu over here gets the Vladimir ultimate and then decides to go back in as Jayce comes in here. Kennen is here though as well. mTw coming in from mid lane. Vladimir will take down Jayce, but Morgana is going to take Vladimir and the red buff he stole from her poor little mummy. High's getting very low, but goes back in with a bandage toss. Holy Dawn is going to die to the Morgana pool. So 2 kills being picked up there by mTw as a little bit of a failed jungle invade from mTw, and they've actually let Orbit even up the kills. They're still a little bit ahead in gold over here. One of the towers on their side to no towers for Orbit Gaming is, of course, helping them with that one. But mTw, they're starting to let this one slip away again, Sullla.
That was a really, really aggressive jungle invade. They went in, they were trying to counter jungle, trying to shut down Amumu, but the problem was Nautilis was in bottom lane, and the jungler for Orb was in top, and now Nautilis is still in bot, and he's going into this fight here. Looks like the target is Soraka. Lemon Nation is going to go down. Now the target shifting to Graves. Balls is going to flash out. Nian flashes after him. The Ignite is not going to get the kill, and now Nian has to try to make it back to the tower, but Morgana is here. There, out comes the Black Shield. He's going to be okay, but still going to pick up a kill in bottom lane for mTw. In the fight before, again, just to get back to that point, it was a jungle invade, but mTw only had 2 up there in the jungle. Meanwhile, there were 3 members of Orb up there. Morgana came up from middle lane, and so it was a 3v2 in favor of Orb, and that's a pretty easy win for them, so they're able to go 2 for 1 in that last fight.
I gotta really chalk it up to mTw. Being in the mid lane, being a little bit behind that Vladimir, he's been roaming the entire game, and now that they've kind of clicked with their teamwork, and he's gotten 2 kills, 2 assists, has double buffs floating around him, happy as can be, he's really been in every single fight to turn it around, where it looks like mTw is going to pick up a kill, and then all of a sudden Morgana is here, and really starting to deny them any of the pressure they've had early in the game. Yes, they wound up giving up a kill in the bottom lane right there, but I can even count on both hands how many times there should have been kills for mTw that Morgana had just all of a sudden been there and really disrupted for them.
That's a really good point. Absolutely, I agree. As we see a dragon getting started here by Orb, we'll see if mTw comes to contest that. If they do, I will stop talking. As you mentioned, Tom, Morgana really has been roaming and has made some great plays 2-0-2, and I think that it was the right decision to roam because, let's face it, Orb needed that help. Otherwise, bottom and top would have been in much more trouble than they are right now. But again, I mean, there is something to just staying in lane and farming. Keep in mind that Mandatory Cloud has not been roaming. He's 1-2. But if you look at where he is in terms of creep score, he's almost 50 CS ahead. And in fact, in terms of gold, he actually has more gold. So, I mean, you might think, wait, 202 has less gold than 1-2? But yeah, that's because Vlad has just been farming. So it's interesting to see that just the 2 different approaches to playing AP mid here. One person roaming a lot, trying to help out the team. One person just saying, I'm going to stay mid, I'm going to farm. Notice that Vlad got the tower in mid as well. That's why that middle tower is down, because Vlad has just stayed there and kept pushing it. So again, 2 different approaches. I think they both worked relatively well, but it's just interesting to see 2 different players playing this in a very different style, and it seems to be working for both of them.
Yeah, that's just why there's so many different champions and so many different ways you can play each and every single role. The same thing in the top lane here. We have Jayce going with his different kind of hybrid bruiser range carry, going for a Trinity Force first kind of build, where Kennen building a little bit
really
more
wanted that Trinity.
He has actually picked up his Will of the Ancients in addition to his Abyssal Scepter. That's going to pair very, very well with Vladimir and his own Will of the Ancients and all the AP damage there. I'm going to shut up about that, though, because bot lane we have a little bit of aggression coming in here. Amumu potentially going to bandage toss in on somebody. Nope, the threat of it is just enough to push off Ezreal and Alistar from their bottom tower. Wishing ever so much this was defense of the Ancients Orb. You cannot deny that tower from them. So they are eventually going to push down and take it down. But uh-oh, Smithy and Holy It's Dawn coming from behind onto Morgana. Ooh, the spell immune from the shield will not want to get the Dredge line down. Zanya's Hourglass on depth charge is brilliant right there. She still has 2 stacks of the Mark of the Storm, though. Amumu and Gray is going to come from the side, though. Halt any aggression there. So what was that? That was, what, 1 ultimate and a couple summoner spells that were burned there?
Yeah, that Zanya's Hourglass was amazing, but now we've got a huge fighter in this blue buff.
Ooh, there goes the Vladimir ultimate, Kennen ultimate. Look at the AoE. Amumu ultimate coming out a little bit late there. Vladimir immediately takes down Graves. Following that, Kennen will take down the Amumu, and then Alistar picking up a kill on Soraka in addition to Ezreal finishing off Morgana. So they do continue pushing the issue of that fight from mid, continuing it, meeting up with the bottom lane that did eventually take down that tower. They net 4 kills, they lose 0. Jayce is the only one left alive right here, and to be completely honest, I don't even think mTw knows what he does at this point, and they're just not going to be afraid to continue pushing down this bot tower.
Wow, that was why they picked Kennen and Vlad, that fight right there. They got the AoE set up that they wanted. They were just able to burst down 4 members of the team, and you see just what a huge play this is turning into. It's going to be 2 towers and the bottom inhib. That is, oh wow, are they not going to get this? Oh wow, the minions are just going to finish it off. They needed to get 1 more auto attack on that. You don't want to leave it for the minions. I know they have to clear out because they're going to be chased, but you don't want to leave it quite that close. But so that's going to turn into just a gigantic play. All of a sudden, our game was super close. Now it's up to a 6,000 gold lead. Can they get the blue buff here? Yuzuki is in chase. Looks like they're not going to get the blue. Wow, Daydreaming going back in with the headbutt. And he's actually going to get slowed. The Vantage Trust will miss. Daydreaming, I don't think, is going to make his way out of here. No, he is going to fall. So a little bit of a misplay there at the end of that. And mTw, or Orb is going to hold on to their blue buff here. And it looks like Orb, they may go straight for Baron off this because they are all full health. And everybody on mTw is pretty chunked from that last fight. Let's see what they choose to do here.
I mean, they have the ward coverage. They are going to see the mTw no wards whatsoever. Soraka with the Oracle's Elixir doing a great job of keeping that space clear. Xfinity and Holy It's Dawn walking into really dangerous territory. Ezreal going to be caught from behind as well as Vladimir onto balls. Has to arcane strip right away. The slow from Jayce coming out. Dark Binding actually misses right there. Ezreal kind of back scoots a little bit while he's shooting there. He is going to get chased down by Graves. Now Mandatory Cloud in the middle of everything. Morgana ultimate goes down. Kennen ultimate goes down. Tags damage on Jayce. He will flash over the wall and be safe. Kennen's ultimate making him going very, very low. Graves will come back in and snipe the kill down onto Vladimir. Amumu finishes off Kennen, who was very low. Jayce will get taken down by Ezreal, who's still flitting around the outskirts of that fight. And Alistar not being in the fight at all means there's no support, there's no extra stun, and all the champions from mTw that, like you said, were low and squishy, wind up dying after that prolonged engagement.
You know, even though mTw lost that, fight, it was 2-1 in favor of Orb. That's still not that bad. That looked like complete and utter disaster. It looked like they were going to lose four or five members of their team, maybe give up a Baron. The fact that they're able to disengage from that, only losing 2 people, 1 for 2, that's a pretty good result for them because they were so badly out of position. They were low from the previous push. They had not had a chance to go back to heal and buy. So they have to be pretty happy with that. They did not lose Baron, and they managed to go 1 for 2. Like I said, that's a good result for them. And again, Orb, is going to have to defend this bottom lane. You can see just how hard the minions are pushing in bot and in top lane too. And it looks like mTw is going to make a play for Baron while Orb has to defend their base.
Yeah, very, very wise of them. They had the minions to push into the tower, so even though, like you said, the play didn't work out gravely, a great mistake for them, but it did work out not in their favor. Although Orb was too low to contest this Baron buff, everybody's going to be able to go back and heal up. Taking a lot of damage from this Baron, though. They are going to have to disengage on this one. But Sullla, you mentioned this Baron buff area is going to be the next big point of contention. Much like game number 1, we're going to see if mTw can play this one properly, and if they're going to be able to snowball this advantage into potentially a win. Or is Orbit Gaming going to contest the Baron, maybe perhaps steal it and catch all of mTw out of position with their pants down, and prolong this game into another kind of base race situation?
Well, Orb has to hope that mTw messes this up. mTw was right to break off. They were taking too much damage from Baron. But the fact that it's the bottom inhib that's down is what really hurts them. That's the lane you don't want to lose. I mean, you don't want to lose any of them. But it's the lane that's furthest away from Baron. They have to have somebody back here or they're going to start to lose their Nexus towers. So mTw is just going to keep baiting this Baron over and over again while that inhib is down. And just try to force a fight where they have numbers, because someone from Orb is going to have to keep defending that bottom lane. But by the same token, if mTw messes this up, they're going to be in all kinds of trouble, like this.
Like the Amumu ultimate over the wall, grabbing onto that Alistar, taking a kill onto Kennen, taking a kill onto Alistar. All the ultimates are going off at once. Team of Play does wind up landing. Amumu getting very low. On top of this, there's going to be a kill on Soraka as well. Ezreal will next to kill on Amumu, by the way. Jayce is going to be taking a lot of damage. Ezreal will finish off Graves in this engagement. It is currently a 3 for 2 in favor of mTw. Are they going to chase down Jayce and Morgana? No, they're just going to be content to push this lane a little bit more. That is a very low Vladimir, who's going to be healing up on minions, a very low Nautilis, but a very low Jayce as well. As Sullla, that was a bad engagement for mTw.
It was a terrible engagement. Alistar and Kennen died instantly, so you might be saying, well, how in the world did they win this fight? Well, it's all balls. And balls is, I mean, he just carried that fight. Yeah, I know that sounds silly, especially with his champion name being Balls, but he's 604, and he just destroyed that fight. Ezreal with red buff, terrifying. He's so good at kiting, he's so good at poking. Balls just was able to dodge all the CC, and he was just poking and killing. He's got Infinity Edge, and he just finished his Trinity Force. He is by far the MVP right now for mTw, and he pretty much single-handedly won that fight just by staying out of all the crowd control and poking away. Now, Vlad got off a nice, I mean, we do have to give credit elsewhere. Vlad got off a nice ult in that fight. Kennen, I don't know if Kennen even, Kennen did get his ult off. I'm not sure how many stuns he got off before he died, because he did die instantly. But really, it was mostly Ezreal in that fight. He picked up red buff, and Ezreal is really scary with red. But that means that we're going to have a reset here, and we're going to do it again, because nobody really got that big of an advantage off of that. So we're just going to reset, and we're going to do it all over again. And the inhib actually has respawned in bottom lane, so that's a big help for Orbit.
And now they're going to be, okay, well, does anybody from Orbit go back and try to defend against this? There is still super minions pushing down onto the inhibitor. Ezreal, in the meantime, decides that he's going to go solo Dragon, heal himself back up because he's not going to be taking a lot of damage as he does have, well, he doesn't actually have that much lifesteal. He has a Vampiric Scepter and a Dorian's Blade, so just the testament of how much damage he can output is how much lifesteal he's getting back in that one. So he gets the Dragon over there. We saw Nautilis get caught a little out of position by Baron over here. They do know that. Orbit Gaming still has a ward over there. Super minions pushing down on the inhibitor, but Morgana is going to be able to go back there and defend it. So now Orbit Gaming feeling a little bit safer in their decision making in this next coming team fight extravaganza, wherever it may go down. But still, mTw about a 7k gold advantage right now, 13 kills to 9. They have 5 towers making up a huge chunk of change differential in addition to just the farm they have in all of their lanes. Still kind of in control of the ebb and flow of this game, but one thing you have to remember, Jayce has a gate which he can put down for his team, and it acts as like a mini Shirelia's referee, so they still have engaging and disengaging. They don't have any Shirelias on their team yet, probably because of this one. However, mTw with double Shirelias, they can still kind of control the ebb and flow of team fights here.
Oh, they're baiting this fight, and here we go. Here's the initiation from mTw.
Ooh, Morgana does pop the ultimate and the black shield off. Vladimir kind of baited out, just stood there. I don't know what's going on. Vladimir's not doing anything. He's super low, has to pull out of the way. Zanya's Hourglass goes out from Morgana. Now Ball's taking a lot of damage in the thick of things. Pooper will fall down to Holy Adam though. Jayce will pick up a kill on Ezreal there. Vladimir just on the outskirts of everything is going to wind up dying there to Graves. Alistar's caught in between everybody else. A double kill goes off for Graves right there. Kennen is being chased down by that side mummy, crying tears of perhaps joy at this point as Orb Gaming gets the engage that they need to. 4 members of them are still up. 3 members of mTw are down, and this could be a Baron attempt or a backdoor.
Yeah, well, that's really all that Kennen and Nautilus can do. Is they know that Orb's going to get Baron off this. There's nothing they can do to stop that. They're going to try to get something out of this. They're going to try to get this inhibitor. We see Jayce coming out to try to stop them. We'll see if he's able to. The inhibitor, I think, is going to go down. Let's see if he can manage to kill anyone. Kennen is so low. Kennen will fall. Now, can he get Nautilus as well? Nautilus does have the Oracle. Don't want to lose that. But Jayce is in chase, and he is continuously popping his ult for that movement speed. Oh, Nautilus going to burn the ultimate, and he's going to dredge line away. I still don't know if he's going to make it out of here, Tom. I think that he's going to manage to chase this down. He's got the red buff. Oh no, not going to go for it. Yuzuki turns and runs back, but still a great result for Orb. They managed to take the Baron. They did lose their inhibitor in bottom lane, but they've got that Baron buff now. That's what they wanted. And in that last fight, again, we talked about what a great job Balls did in the previous fight. Well, he got caught right in the middle of the team, and he got burst down pretty quickly. And you saw how much worse off that team fight went when Ezreal wasn't just sitting back poking away like he did in the previous fight.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I'm glad to see Mandatory Cloud is moving now. No ultimate put down by Vladimir, no spells cast at all. He popped the pool when he was extremely low. He ate a Dark Binding, which signals the initiation from Orbit Gaming. Don't exactly know what happened to him in that fight. There was no DPS from him, so that of course helped Orbit Gaming a lot right there. I don't know, he did get blown up pretty quickly though, so that could have actually just been the focus fire before him actually being able to do anything too. But regardless, good positioning, good initiation, and everything Orbit needed. They're still down in kills, slight disadvantage in gold, but at this point it's pretty much negligible, only about 2,000 gold disadvantage. They are still, however, severely down in towers. mTw did manage to pick up that inhibitor on the bottom lane, which will push that lane constantly with the super minions in their favor, and could, of course, make them go for perhaps push towards the middle lane, apply pressure to top lane, and just have that naturally pushing lane completely on the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, the sad thing about this is we're probably not going to see much fighting while Urgot has that Baron, because Urgot is going to have to push out these lanes because, as you mentioned, they've got so many towers down. They're missing 6 towers. But on the other side, mTw is not going to want to fight while Urgot has the Baron. So we're likely going to see Urgot just farming these lanes and trying to push them out while mTw just refuses to engage, because they're not going to want to fight while Urgot has that Baron. So we probably are not going to see a whole lot for the next 2 to 3 minutes. Well, we might see a fight over this middle tower, I guess. We could see that, but mTw really is not looking to fight right now. They just lost the last 2 team fights, and Urgot right now has Baron, so it's not a good time for them to be fighting.
No, not at all. They're actually going to be going around with the Org's Lister, clearing out wards. Interestingly enough, Urgot is not going to be going for towers. They are going to be going for pressure on the enemy team, going around this jungle. They potentially just want to make mTw back off entirely so they can just push towers at free will without fear of any sort of counterattack. Technically, they are still behind in gold, so they don't want to be too cocky with anything. They just want to play it safe and make sure that they are going to be able to get ahead. Morgana, interestingly enough, she was the only one to die in that team fight, or was she the only one to die in that team fight? I'm just taking a look at the Baron buff.
One of them died, yes, you're right.
So Morgana does not have the Baron buff. Ooh, actually Lemonation getting caught at a recall here. Dreadflight goes down. mTw getting aggressive on the Baron buff enemy here. Mandatory Cloud pops the ultimate and will get the kill. And Kennen ultimate tags a stun on both Jayce and Morgana. Alistar with a pulverize is going to secure a kill on Morgana for Kennen. Now Yuzuki getting bursted down under his own tower. Amumu ultimate goes off. I hear a bunch of abilities and items being popped. mTw taken out for 5 members of Orbit Gaming with the Baron buff up.
Oh my God.
I guess 2,000 gold makes a big difference, Sullla, and that is going to propel mTw into a 2-1 victory.
That's amazing. It's just the game's just over. That's absolutely unreal that the game just ends like that. Soraka gets caught, and then Orb just got caught in the worst position possible. Half their team had recalled back to base, the other half was right there, and they just get engaged upon, and everybody died, just like dominoes falling down one after another. So I can't believe that match is over already. But it's 2-1 in favor of mTw, and one of the most surprising finishes I can imagine.
That was basically the last thing any of us would have expected. All right, normally Sullla, we'd be like, okay, Soraka got caught, Soraka's gonna die. Potentially they could get a tower, maybe they could get an inhibitor off of this one, that's fine. Nope, I didn't expect Soraka to die, and then all these ultimates to be popped, and then Morgana and Jayce to fall, and then like you said, dominoes one after another, and then the last domino in the line was the enemy Nexus, and mTw. That was, I can't even say anything else besides impressive play from them, coming out and taking a well-deserved 2-1 victory.
That last sequence was just so unexpected. I mean, we have this really close game, this tight game, and Orb has just gotten this great fight at Baron, and it looks like they're back in it. And then it's just Soraka gets caught, and then Morgana goes down, and then half the team at Orbit is back at the fountain, and the other half is getting killed literally one at a time by mTw. It's just an amazing sequence where they could not have set that up better if they had scripted it themselves. Just like every ult used perfectly, one crowd control after another crowd control, and once they got the first 3 kills, they still had those super minions in the base because the inhibitor had been down earlier, and they just followed the super minions and finished off the Nexus in like 10 seconds. So absolutely incredible. It just shows how quickly you can win or lose a game in League of Legends. You just make that one tiny little mistake, and that can be it, which is, I mean, I feel kind of bad for Lemon Nation, but just that one mistake in positioning, and boom, the game's over. But still, we got to give credit to mTw. They played that perfectly, and they exploited just one minor mistake.